KMSU.
Hi, Dustin Wilms, please.
This is Dustin.
Dustin, this is Lou.
Lou, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Sorry I'm late. The last interview spilled over a little bit.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad to be talking with you today.
All right, then.
Well, I know that you are on tour now, and I kind of wanted to ask you a bit about that. I know you are kind of doing a mix of your solo stuff and the old Foreigner stuff. Is that right?
Yes, it's true.
And you guys are playing at the State Fair here in Minnesota. I assume, with a career like yours, you must have basically a who's who of makeup in the crowd out there.
I wouldn't doubt it. I bet you the age group spans 30 years.
So has the tour been going well so far? I mean, I'm assuming it's been pretty popular?
Yeah, it has been. We've been crisscrossing the northwest and the northeast states and over into Canada for a number of shows too.
Yeah, and I know you obviously have been touring since way back in the 70s even. And
yep, it's true. I'm an old road dog.
Yeah, I want to ask you about touring with Foreigner. You guys were really in the thick of things, playing stadiums, for tens of thousands of people. Even California Jam, I think 200,000. I mean, at that point, can you even tell what's going on out there with that many people?
Well, you sing to the people you can see, and exaggerate the gestures so that the people that are way back can get into it too. And at Cal Jam they had screens every 200 yards. So that it was like watching a big screen TV.
Well, and I know there are a couple 100,000 people that go through the state fair every day, so it's kind of like the same thing in a way.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I want to ask, for about a decade, I think, with Foreigner, you guys, everything you released seemed like it was, monster seller. And were you able to really enjoy that success at the time, or was that all kind of a blur thinking back on it?
Well, we didn't have much time off, I'll tell you. And our tours were long, and we played often. It was fun because it was like seeing the fruits of your labor. The singles and the album tracks were getting tons of airplay, and then we would play in front of a large crowd, and a lot of the songs, when we'd start them, you'd hear the crowd roar because they knew them already, and now they were hearing them live. So it was about as much fun as it could be.
And with the other bands around that time, you had like Journey and Styx and some of these other bands that were playing these huge shows. Were you guys all kind of friends behind the scenes? Was it all kind of comrades, or was there a bit of kind of like a sense that you needed to compete with one another?
Well, I think there was a little bit of both. I'm sure just for one's own pride and satisfaction, you wanted to. You didn't wish ill of them, but you wanted to be at your best. But before the show and after the show, you would definitely see the other guys in the bands and have a beer and a couple laughs, tell some road stories, and then everybody goes their own way. It was generally a real camaraderie.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's pretty an elite club, I guess, of people that have been able to play shows of that size, and I'm sure you can't really relate with a lot of other people, so that's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Well, you mentioned not having a lot of time off, and I know you had a huge hit when you put out the Ready or Not album, and also Lost in the Shadows. That's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, that's they play that movie a lot,
Yeah.
And every time I see it on TV, it sounds good.
Well, did that kind of seal the deal for you on your decision to leave Foreigner, knowing that you could go out there on your own and get it done as well?
Well, that's why I did both of those albums to see what I was made of, and to see what I could accomplish on my own. It certainly was a test for me, and I was pleased with the results. The record company gave me good support, and it was very satisfying, because those were all songs that were written or co-written by myself, and I found out what I was made of, But I definitely enjoy working with Mick, I treasure the days that we had as Foreigner too.
Yeah, you definitely were behind a lot of music that meant a lot to a lot of people. I know you eventually rejoined the band and left again, but you guys recently went into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. So are you guys back on good terms? Everything's good now?
We are on good terms. We speak to each other on a regular basis, and we patched up the friendship before that Hall of Fame show. And it was the first time we'd played together in over 10 years. So the relationship is good, and I'm very pleased that it is, because we've done so much together and spent so much time together. It would be a shame to go through the rest of your life as on a bad relation,
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's probably overdue, you guys being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's got to be coming one of these days, I would assume.
I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but being in the Songwriters Hall of Fame is certainly prestigious.
Yeah, I've spoke with a few people who are in the Songwriters Hall, and they almost kind of feel like that's more of an honor than the Rock Hall. Do you feel that way?
In a way.
Well, and I know I wanted to ask you about your health. I know you have kind of had some issues there, but you sound good. Everything's back on track. You must be good to go if you're on a tour. Yeah.
Yep. I have to take some medications to keep everything on the right track, but I'm raring to go and enjoy touring. Not to the extent I did when I was 25 or 30, but it can be fun if it's not brutal,
Yeah, I can only imagine. And I assume your faith probably has something to do with that, kind of keeping everything in balance.
Yes, it does. It really is the checks and balances of my life.
Yeah, I know that you put out some Christian albums recently, and I think work with Petra, too. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot of credits under your belt, and obviously still touring. And as a guy who is really one of the great voices of rock and roll, is it tough to maintain your voice after all these years? Do you have to take certain measures to make sure everything's solid?
Yeah, well, it's not incredibly tough. You just have to have common sense. Obviously, no drugs, no alcohol, and a lot of water. And keeping it limber by doing scales or singing songs to yourself. If you don't sing at all for 2 weeks, when you finally open your mouth, everything's tightened up in there. So you have to. It's more like I can draw a comparison to a pitcher. A baseball pitcher. You have to keep the arm limber, and if it gets tired, then you got to give it a little rest. But you can't rest it so much that when you use it again, it feels like you can't do the job,
Sure. Well, and I know you have all sorts of stories that you could tell, and it's probably all in the book, I assume, the new one you got out, Jukebox Hero, and I've been hearing good things about that.
Yes, it's doing well, and I think it's an interesting book.
Well, with that being said, when you wrap up this tour here, is there another project maybe in the works, or do you have a new album or something you're working on?
Well, I have a bunch of songs, and what we're going to do with them, we're not sure, but I'm hoping that there'll be an album, at least an EP, by sometime early next year.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it seems like nowadays it's a lot easier for people to just release stuff on their own, and you can kind of skip the major labels and get the stuff out quicker, it seems.
Yep, that's right.
All right. Well, again, Lou, it's been an honor speaking with you today. Thanks a lot for being on with me.
My pleasure. Take care now.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.